make this as participation as possible. Hey guys, welcome to Ignite Spark Elemental Session 2, where we're going to talk about marketing. I'm Scott Zobre, new PC productivity coach in the Market Center up in Hudson Valley North. I'm joining Patty. So thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Hopefully we can dive a little bit deeper into what you guys are doing marketing wise to grow your real estate business. So marketing. Basically today we're gonna go through about an hour and a half. I'd like to keep it a little short of that because I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of sharing what you guys are working on, and definitely have and leave some questions at the end so I can help you guys best. If you have not done so already, I would urge you guys to complete your marketing profile. You guys can talk to any of the people that are helping you get everything set up. So for us, that's Haley. Get that marketing profile set up. That way we can auto populate some of the stuff that we're going to go into, and we'll dive into that a little bit in a bit. I guess my first question up, I know some of you guys are taking this and going through all the full course. Are there any newbies on this? Anybody, this is your first Ignite, first session, first joining in? And you can throw that in the chat if yes or no. I've been here for all of them, which is awesome. Thank you and welcome again. Hopefully I can live up to the expectations of all the other agents and what they set. In terms of marketing and prospecting, so Monday we should have talked about prospecting. Can anybody tell me the difference between the two? I hope everybody's at their other job getting paid while they're doing their education, because obviously these classes are best when everybody's participating. So if that is a possibility, please join in. I'd love to hear from you guys. That way I can give the best possible advice, education, and steer you guys in the right direction. All right, Haley, how about we move on to what we're going to focus on today? So the difference, between growing your business, there we go. Emily, prospecting is to individuals. Can you market to individuals? I guess that would be my question back. Can you market to individuals? Yes, okay. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into maybe a little bit of a difference between prospecting and marketing, and are they individuals, groups, or how they're done. In terms of what we want you guys focusing on is this is going to be part of growing your business. So prospecting on Monday we talked about, that is generating leads for buyers and sellers. Without growing your business, there is no way to possibly have anybody to run it. So you can't go on appointments without those leads. A big part of our business is going to be lead generating, growing it so that you don't run into that problem a couple months down the road. I got my closing or had a couple running closings, but in that meantime, I wasn't growing it. And now I'm stuck looking around and have nobody in it to run it. So we're going to continually work on those daily habits that are going to be lead generating, and marketing is definitely going to be a portion of that. We should have went over marketing is going to enhance our prospecting on Monday, and we're just going to go a little further into that. So just wanted to reiterate the difference between growing your business and running it, working on your business, and then working in it, and the different mindsets that are needed for both of those ideas. All right, what we got? So in terms of the rest of our agenda, just so you guys get a main scope of what we're going to go through today. Can we go to the next slide, Haley? So today we're going to go marketing versus prospecting, dive a little deeper into the difference between those two, and then hopefully dive a little deeper into what marketing is, how you guys can do it effectively, your thought process behind it. I'm going to go over a little bit of building out a marketing profile, or actually incorporating that marketing profile into how we can do that in Command through designs. I'd like to recap, get your feedback on what you learned and what you guys can implement in terms of your marketing. And then obviously going over those daily success habits of what you can do day in, day out, time blocking, because remember, everything we do today is going to affect us 3 months down the road, and that's going to be our payday in 3 months. So all those daily activities we're working on today is for our future self. The difference, so a little bit deeper into marketing versus prospecting. Marketing is going to be where you are attracting people, you're trying to get people towards you. Prospecting is going to be where you're actually going out and doing that activities. So I like this graphic on the next page. It kind of shows a nice little synopsis of the pyramid of prospecting being at the bottom, being that base. You are lead generating, actively working on your business. That is time intensive, proactive, and it's going to be good for immediate results. And then marketing, you see that little magnet at the top. You're trying to attract people. You're getting them to respond to you, respond to your marketing efforts, call in. And it is passive. It is for the long term, but it can be cost heavy at the beginning. So if you guys are new agents, speaking of which, do we have any existing veteran agents, or is everybody new here? You can throw it in the chat. I know a lot of you guys are working. That's fine. Awesome, awesome. So as a new agent, do you think it's going to be easier or better for you to focus more of your time on prospecting or marketing?
Marketing.
Marketing. And why do you think that? Was that Monique?
Yeah, I think it'd be easier because you have no one really to prospect until you market the people you're trying to reach.
I see what you're saying there. Coming into it, I guess my first question would be, do you have a budget set aside for your marketing materials?
No.
Okay, so a good way of looking at it is marketing is to be cost heavy, passive, so a lot less time because you can market out, like you said, to a lot of people. Prospecting is going to be where it's time heavy, but very cost low because it's a lot of your actual door knocking, making those care calls, working your sphere of influence. And yeah, in terms of people you know, have we talked about this in some of the previous things? How many contacts do we have in our iPhone? Have we looked into our iPhone, how many contacts we have? Does anybody know that number? Or, I mean, a lot of you guys might even be on your phone. Can you look at your contacts, scroll all the way to the bottom and see how many there are? I'd love to hear these numbers. 124, Cassie. I like that. Anybody else? Emily and Monique? 284. Alex. Awesome. So all those people you probably already have a prior relationship with. I know some of the other people have told you, or we might have mentioned it in some previous classes, there is a cold calling ban. So you can't just randomly go through the phone book and call somebody. But if you have any existing relationship with them, they're a friend, they're a family, they're a friend of a friend, you've formerly worked with them and you have their phone number. Even on some of these marketing materials, if they respond to them and opt in, you can give them a phone call. So those are going to be all those people that you can start reaching out to, and that's going to be on that prospecting side. So that's where prospecting really goes hand in hand with marketing, and marketing is going to enhance all the stuff that you're doing on the prospecting side. So I like where your head's at, Monique. You want to reach as many people as possible, as fast as possible, but just thinking about how I'm going to market out to all those people and maybe what the message I'm going to be sending is. And in fact, let's dive a little deeper in terms of marketing. Can we go to the next slide? I think so. Let's think a little deeper. We got some questions to go over. So actually, you know what? We got some items to reach out and talk about. So how about we go to that next slide so you can get a general idea of the difference between the two. Emily, I want to spend as little as possible in terms of marketing at this point. What are the most effective, cheapest things? Well, how about we take a look at this list? So here's all the ideas of the difference between prospecting and marketing. So how about you guys let me know, has anybody used any of these on the marketing side? Has anybody put any of these into practice yet? Whether it's postcards, just sold lists.
Social media.
Social media, definitely social media. Now, what are you doing on social media, Alex?
I mean, nothing major. Just once in a blue posting something like a status on my Facebook or maybe on my story. If I'm doing a showing, I'll put it on my story just to get people looking. So I'm thinking about me doing real estate. I could be doing more though.
I think we could always be doing more, but I like that. I like that. So trying to get in front of people and show them that you're doing showings in the business. I mean, obviously, as you're just starting out, that is your main focus. How can I get in front of as many people as possible? How can I show them that I've shifted careers maybe, or that this is what I'm doing and I'm serious about it and I'm doing it on a daily basis? I got Monique's social media as well. Yeah, I got it. I've started farming with postcards. That takes a couple months. Yes, it does, Cassie. So return on farming is definitely gonna be a little longer term, which you saw on that previous slide. I don't have to think about it. So that is a luxury. You send out those postcards and the return on it, I know there's a lot of different numbers coming back and it's changed a little bit, but I believe it's 1 out of every 50 kind of items that you're marketing out is a nice return. And you'll see that within, I think it's 6 months to 18 months. Best case, you could see it immediately or 3 months, and then it is really long-term and passive. If you guys have not heard or seen any of the stuff from Aaron Chambers, we do have the concierge services where they can help you design those postcards, get all the addresses and send them out for you, something I've definitely taken advantage of. How about anybody else? We have social media, we got postcards. Anybody else try anything on that marketing side?
I had a quick question. Under prospecting, it says meals. Like, you mean like taking people out for like a lunch or something like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Probably once a week I have some type of lunch date or dinner date with, a lot of times I'm doing it with vendors because I'm trying to create those relationships with mortgage lenders. And they're going to be the ones qualifying people to see if they are ready and able and willing to buy. So they can hopefully send me those leads as they come in. So meals could be hosting a meal. I know a lot of the agents that have been doing it for a while host a dinner or some type of event where they have meals coming in, and they have that for just their clients that maybe bought or sold that year. So there's a lot of different ideas and things you can kind of run with in terms of meals. I know some lenders have almost like a dinner night where they do a first time home buyer dinner on us, and we'll do a little presentation on what it takes to get lending. For us, it would be, what is the first time home buyer experience like and what kind of value can we provide for you? Great question, Alex. I like that. So in terms of the prospecting and marketing, as you're taking that list, thank you, Haley, throwing in the information. If you do need the concierge division or concierge services, you can definitely reach out straight to Aaron. All our information's in the chat. Actually, yeah, well, let's stay on this for a second. Taking a look at all those lists. Now, what do you guys think it would be best? Do you want to pick a bunch? How do you guys want or think we should go about this in terms of utilizing this list? Do we pick random, pick a bunch, pick one? What do you guys think is probably the best strategy for you guys?
I guess pick what you would feel most comfortable doing, start from there.
I like that. So comfortability is definitely going to be a key. People are going to work with who they know, like, and trust. And it's easy for you to be genuine if you're doing something that you're comfortable with. So I would definitely start there. So, and you said pick one thing that you're comfortable with or a couple things?
No, the more the better. I mean, I think one of my productivity coaches just said pick at least 5.
At least 5. Okay. And does anybody have any differing ideas on that, or is they think at least 5 is definitely where we want to start? So I want to stay there for a second. Do you want to expand a little more on what they, or the reasoning why, other than the more the better, Alex?
Reasoning why it's better to have more than just like one. I mean, I guess the more opportunity is going to be presented to you, and the more opportunity presented to you, the more chance you're going to have to close that potential client.
Got it. Now, I love that idea. I do just want to pivot to, have you guys heard of Pareto's Law or the 80-20 law? Or has anybody ever heard of that? Heard that anywhere in their
in other sessions, definitely.
Definitely other sessions. We talked about 80-20. Yes, yes, yes from Emily. Does anybody want to explain in their own words what they think the 80-20 is, or how that could be attributed to this? I know, Emily, you're thrown in the chat. I appreciate it, your participation. I'm sorry about the audio, I think it was. But 20% of your activities are going to create 80% of your revenue or commissions or GCI. So if we're looking at 20 different activities and 20 different types of prospecting, only 20% of that, so only 4 of those activities are going to be creating 80% of our business. So I like the 5 number. I would probably max it out at 5, and I would pick 3 to 5 that you're comfortable on the prospecting and marketing side, so that you can really track, where am I getting my business from, and really double down on those activities. Now, if you're just starting out, you might not have tracked, where am I getting the majority of my leads from? But as you start to implement some of these, let's say you start 10 things at the same time, unless you're tracking where those leads are coming from, you don't know where to spend your time in the future. So if you were to start 10 things all at the same time right now, and you didn't track, 6 months down the road, do I continue doing those 10 things? Which of those couple items should I really focus my time on, so that I can have more time to run my business instead of spending all of my time trying to grow my business? Does that kind of make sense, Alex? Or do you have anything or any questions on that idea?
No, that makes sense.
Okay. And again, anybody at any time, I love popping in the chat. I got it open so I can kind of keep track of everybody and the questions. But at any point, you guys can jump in, stop me. This is meant to be as interactive as possible, because I want you guys to get the most out of this. In fact, let's dive a little deeper in terms of marketing and how and what we're looking for out of those marketing materials. So, hey, can we go to the next one? So I just want to take a look at this first question. How do you know where the customer is, and how do you meet them there? Now, I want you guys to take a little time, think about that, and when you're ready, share what you think. You can type it in the chat, come off mute. I want to hear from you guys. How do you know where the customer is, and how do you meet them there?
You mean like where they are in the process of buying a house?
That's one way of looking at it. So how would you know where they are in that process?
Just be straightforward and ask them the right questions. How have you been looking? You know, have you been pre-approved for a buyer? When are you trying to find out the motivation? When are they trying to move?
Awesome. So you're immediately jumping into qualifying where they are in the process. And how do you meet them at that part of the process?
Schedule an appointment, either a buyer consultation or a listing appointment, and then hit them hard with the questions right when you get to that point.
I like it. I like it. Now, going back to the kind of the marketing side, if we're putting stuff out there, right? Because that's what marketing is. We're trying to put stuff out there so that they come to us. How do we put stuff out there? How do we know where the customer is in their process in the way we market? And how do we meet them there in terms of marketing? And remember, you can throw it in the chat. I know it takes a little time to type. So the question is the top question is, how do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there in terms of marketing? So Alex, you were talking about where they are in the process. How do we meet them in the part of the process that they are, schedule those buyer consultations? But if we're putting out some piece of marketing, how do we kind of meet them there in terms of that part of the process? Maybe we haven't met them yet in our piece of marketing. They're just seeing our marketing.
So like, you mean like finding out where, like if they call you and then you say, oh, you could say like, oh, how did you guys hear about me? And then they could say, oh, I got your card from ShopRite or something. Is that what you mean? Or like, how do I market towards a specific type of person?
I like that. So how do you market towards a specific type of person? Who is your ideal client?
A ready and able buyer, ready to buy right now.
Okay. Now, does your marketing or your social media posts reflect that?
Nope.
It was meant to be a little more hypothetical, but thank you for answering. Yeah, so, and that's something that I want you guys to think about as you're thinking about your prospecting is very direct. You're having those conversations. What part of the process you're in, you may be making those care calls. You go through forward, you talk about their family, their occupation, their recreation, their dreams. Oh, how are you? What's up? How's everything? They ask you how you're doing. You bring up real estate. Yeah, it's going well. I got my license. I'm working with people. You know, do you have any plans to move this year? Or do you know anybody that's looking to move or, you know, looking to buy this year? Now that's prospecting. You're actively working. In terms of marketing, how can we now market towards our ideal client? So as we kind of go through this process, I really want you to think about, you're not in front of these people in the prospecting. This is kind of enhancing all those care calls that you're doing. This is going to bring and add a few more people into your database and into your pipeline. Emily, give them something of value. Now, I love that idea. Coming from a point of contribution is the key to being successful in any business. So I love that. And that could vary depending on your personality, how you want to take that. That might be, I'll give you a free CMA. I'll give you a free price analysis on your home because you're looking for listings. I will give you a free consultation. You could team up with a lender and possibly work with them in terms of giving them something of value. They might have credit off at a closing, and now you're teamed up and working with somebody. They're now getting qualified with somebody that you know and trust and can work with. So there's a lot of ways to provide value. I like that. Let's jump down a little. How do you communicate your value proposition? Now, first off, has everybody done or worked on their value proposition? So please, yes or no in the chat, or yes or no off mic. Have you figured out or think? Who was that, Emily?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. You're mute. You're
Oh,
off mute. I
wow.
love it.
Okay, great.
Excellent. So no, you have not written down a value proposition?
I have not.
Okay. Got it. I believe that should have been Haley, have you been on some or most of them? Have we done the value proposition earlier Ignite?
Yeah, I think it was part of the Spark.
Part of Spark.
I wasn't on those ones, but value proposition should have been in class in Spark.
Okay, so if you did get all the materials, you can go through Spark. There is a specific one dedicated to the value proposition. If not, at the end of this, I'll make sure we email out that specific Spark so that you guys know to fill out that in the future. So yes, Cassie, awesome. Everybody else? Who else we got? Alex, Monique, did we fill out a value proposition?
No, I did not.
Okay.
What is that? I'm sorry. I'm like multitasking. I'm failing. What is that?
So a value proposition is your unique value that you provide and bring to the client. So for some people, that is, I'm the best listing agent in whatever town that you're working in. I market the best, I reach the most people, I sell the houses the fastest for the most amount, which is, you know, however they might say it. But your value proposition, you're going to want to break down to a much smaller elevator speech so that when you're talking to people, you can describe in as few succinct words as possible what value you bring to the table as a real estate agent, as their fiduciary representing them. That might be, I help investors build their portfolios in this county with this amount of cap rate, or maybe the small multifamilies, maybe commercial. So there's a lot of different ways that you can take that, but each of you should have a nice unique value that you bring to the table. You're coming from another occupation, some form of a bunch of different education, you have life experiences that you get to bring to the table. How can you communicate that so that you're going to help them the best, so that they want to work with you? Because people work with people that they know, like, and trust. So now that we've kind of talked about that a little, how do you communicate your value proposition? How do you communicate that in the marketing world? So I'd love to hear from you guys. How would you communicate that? Anybody have Instagram?
Yes.
Millennials, we should have Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook, all. Let's say you're scrolling, you see a business or somebody, maybe a friend that has a business. Some of them make you stop and some of them don't. I guess my question is it because there's a different value there? Is it because it's fancier? What in the marketing world, what kind of is in that marketing piece that maybe makes you stop?
Something that applies to my interests that could benefit me in some way in the future.
Absolutely. So interests, what you're looking for. Emily, were you going to say something or add to?
A great photo.
Absolutely, a great photo. So it could be shot in 4K. It's a video shot in 4K, 60 frames per second, beautiful picture. So sometimes it's just the actual picture. Sometimes it's going to be the wording. Sometimes it's going to be a mixture of both. So these are the things that I want you guys to think about as you're trying to enhance all that prospecting you're doing. What are you sending to your clients when you type and market your materials? Going back, I want to kind of hear from Emily if possible, but everybody, how can you come from contribution or connect in a meaningful way? So I know you mentioned it, so how can you come from that contribution?
I guess just have an understanding of what they might be looking for, or what their needs are or their hopes are, and try to fulfill some of those needs or provide them with information that you think would be useful to them, even if it's not, directly related to a particular property, but just trying to help them out in some way, like, with some a source for, I don't know, a painter, or, you know, all that kind of stuff, or a recommendation for a restaurant or a dry cleaner or whatever, you know.
I love it. And I love how you took what they're looking for. Every time you, and as you went through that explanation, you were always coming from, what are they looking for? What do they want? What do they need? And that's that part of contribution that you're thinking about as you draft your value proposition, as you draft all these marketing materials, as you're making those calls. How can I be of service? How can I help? And how can I connect them with the painter, the cleaner, the appraiser? I'll tell you a quick story. I hopped on Facebook. I joined a small business group. There's one in the Hudson Valley. Don't know it off the top of my head, but it's like Hudson Valley Small Business Group. There's a lot of realtors in there. There's a lot of cleaners in there, a lot of painters. There's a lot of businesses in there. But somebody who owns a painting group said, hey, does anybody know any appraisers in the area? So I reached out, just sent them a message. Hey, these are 3 appraisers I've worked with in the past. Let me know how it goes. He calls me up. Hey, you know, this is actually what I'm looking for. I don't know if I need an appraiser. I told him, listen, it's going to cost you probably $450 to get a full appraisal. But if you're doing an in-house kind of off-market family deal, you might just need somebody to kind of give you the true value, or a broker's price opinion, a BPO. And maybe you guys can negotiate off of that. So I went out to the property, gave him that. All right, good luck, guys. I hope it works out for you. They ended up not coming to terms. He uses me as his buyer agent, and we just closed on a $525,000 house a couple months ago. So just coming from that point of contribution, hey, here's some appraisers, and it all comes back around to help. And it all comes back around in terms of that coming from a point of contribution. So thank you, Emily. I really appreciate it. I think you're going to do very well if you keep thinking about them and how you can help. I love it. All right, a little more kind of specific on it. How important do you think branding and aesthetic consistency is in your marketing, and how do you achieve it?
I think it's very important. As to how to achieve it, I'd like to know.
Excellent, excellent. So I think a lot of us have been on social media recently. There's all these profiles. Some are scattered, and then some have a very specific filter that they might use. The logo is always in the specific spot. They have a page, or if you have multiple pictures, their last page or photo is always a business card or some type of giving back. There's some type of consistency in that, and that's up to you guys to develop as you go. You might always do just listed postcards and just closed postcards. That way you're getting multiple pieces of marketing to the neighborhoods you're listing in. So there's a bunch of different ways to run with that. But yes, I agree, Emily, definitely important. The branding and aesthetics, how you come off. And like I said, it's to enhance the prospecting side. So if you're doing all this prospecting, now that marketing is reminding them of who you are and what you do. You're staying at the front of mind, and you're staying in front of as many people as possible. Without the prospecting though, without you doing business, if I just got my license yesterday and threw up a billboard, I'm not relating that. I'm just another face with a number up there, right? But if I'm known and I start to build, I'm making phone calls, making connections. Now they start to see those social media posts that you're doing showings online. Then they start to see those closings. Now your marketing is enhancing your business as you make those phone calls. Oh yeah, and as you guys get going, you'll start to make those calls and be like, oh yeah, I see you're doing awesome. I see all these, and you never know who's watching and who's taking toll until you post the story where you get hundreds of views and the post only got a couple of likes. So you never know who's watching.
So then it sounds like the prospecting really comes first, and then you add on the marketing.
Generally speaking, yes. Now, if you have a budget set aside and you want to take, direct mail, do some postcard campaigns, if you have an open house or you reach out to maybe another agent in the brokerage. Hey, I'd love to host an open house for you. Then you can work on that and do those marketing materials that goes along with that open house. But you're still going to be the person at that open house, hosting, being in front of people. But I like where your head's at in terms of prospecting is going to be how to generate a long-term successful business. Those calls, those relationships, those interactions that you're doing is going to be the business.
So if you're brand new, you've never listed, you never helped anyone buy, you can't send out postcards with those things on them. So what would you send out?
Great question. So you can send out postcards. I would revert back to you. Who's your ideal client?
Somebody ready, willing, and able to buy. I mean, or ready, willing, and able to sell.
And is your marketing reaching those people? And is the messaging in the marketing asking and geared towards that? So if I'm sending out a postcard, hey, I'm a new agent, obviously it's not going to go very far. If it's very targeted towards a neighborhood that I really know and want to work in, and I'm providing value on it, and my postcard says, hey, this many houses have sold in your neighborhood for this amount. I'd love to I'd love to give you a call and price your home for you, or I'd love to check in and give you an equity update. Now that homes have gone up X percentage in the past 2 years, it looks like you bought X amount of years ago. Can we have a discussion about the equity in your home and what you're planning to do with it? So there's a bunch of different ways you can go with it. And that's up to you guys with what you're comfortable with and how you guys kind of want to run with it. But I'm not saying you shouldn't do marketing. I'm saying it's going to enhance, or are you really thinking about where that customer is and how you can meet them there so you get your ideal client? Any other follow-up questions to that, Emily?
That goes back to that first point on the slide. And when you say, do you know where the customer is? Do you mean like, I don't mean, let's say, how do I explain this? It could be sort of like in the physical sense, like where is that person located? Or it could be, or is this meant here like where the person is psychologically?
Yes, and we're trying to meet them at both.
So a customer to me could be anywhere in the most unexpected places. I really wouldn't like exclude anything really. I mean, of course, a kindergarten class, you're not going to find a customer there, but
the kindergartner might mention that they just recently moved, or their mom got a new job across the country.
Yeah.
So you're always thinking, always looking out for some type of business or some type of mentioning of it. But I like where you're not excluding. You want to keep your options open. As you start to work a little more with some more clients, you're going to develop who you like working with, what niche you might want to work towards, and that's going to help you reach those specific customers and clients.
Okay. If you hear about somebody who is wanting to sell her home and she's in another state, would you suggest that, as an example, I look to see where the nearest Keller Williams office is to that person's home, and then try to connect with somebody at that Keller Williams office and then see if I can make a referral?
That's exactly what I would do. And in fact, you can do that right through Command. I'll point that out when we get into the designs part. I'm actually going to pull up my screen and go through a little designs and Command tech, but I'll show you where that referrals bar is, and possibly, if we have time, how you can do that. but definitely I would look into closest Keller Williams market. And I have a script that I've written up. When I reach out, I usually reach out to a couple agents, or you can reach out to the market center directly. Hey, I have a client looking in your area. I would like to do a referral fee. Do you have any agents that work in this neighborhood or whatever?
Well, this would be for a listing.
Yeah. So, yep. And trust me, somebody's going to jump on it. So you're going to want to look at who's doing some decent business in that area, who sold recently in that area. You can call the market center directly. They might have a better idea of who works that neighborhood in that area. And that way they can give them the best advice in terms of a CMA, pricing, and listing their home for them. That's a great question though. Yep. Yeah. That's part of a lot of agents' businesses, a lot of referrals. And that's why family reunion this weekend is a big thing, because nationwide, even worldwide, a lot of people are going in person, but it's also digitally, and that's a great way to meet agents from all over the country and get those referral partners. I get a lot of my business, a lot of phone calls from referrals.
And as far as the communicating the value proposition, I would love to see some examples of print marketing that indicates the value proposition, or that provides some kind of a contribution to the viewer of that marketing material. I would love to see, good examples of those.
Yeah, we have some examples throughout this class. We're going to dissect them a little bit. I don't know if any of them are going to be coming from the contribution, but I want you to keep that in mind as you critique them and maybe what you might change. And then we can talk about maybe some resources at the end of where you can find some of those. Does that help?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so speaking of which, let's take action. We're going to create, and I don't know if we're going to post anything just yet, but we're definitely going to show you InDesigns where you can kind of see a lot of those marketing materials that you're going to be able to use. So I don't know everybody's ability in terms of navigating commands, so bear with me. I'm going to take my time trying to get there. So let me just share my screen. Can you see my screen, Haley? It's all chaos, isn't it?
I can see the email.
That is a typical day in the life of. So I'm going to sign into command. I have mine saved, so it jumps right to the page. All right, so if you haven't memorized this, you can just hover over each one and see where that is, or you can click this red square in the top and it should come out. Now, Emily, you were talking about referrals. That's this one right here with the location, with the person. And if you click on that, it'll show you a bunch of different market centers. We'll come back to that, okay? Because I do want to go through the marketing material first. And then what we're going to do is, if you are looking to create marketing materials, you can come all the way down to designs. That's that paintbrush in the square. And if we click on that, it should bring us up a bunch of different options. It will always give you stuff that you've recently worked on. And then you can always create new designs from there. So in the top right-hand corner, sometimes in the bottom right, there's a plus sign, but in the top right, you can create a design. And for just today, we're going to work on print, but you can do video, print, social, and email. So if I was to click on this print, click continue, it's going to take me right into the designs part of our command system.
Can these be, the print ones just be used to email?
100%. And a lot of times I either take a screenshot or I implement them into my monthly newsletter, or I'll use them on social media. So these can all be used and they can be saved as JPEGs or PNGs or picture files. so that you can use them on email, social media, or other ad campaigns. So great question. Yeah, it's not limited to, but it's just best practices to use it towards. Let's go through. So across the top, you have your templates. So there's a lot of different templates based on what you're going to be looking for, whether you're looking for buyers, listings, or this is K-Score. If you haven't heard, we did just get K-Score in our market center. So that's a program where the agents that aren't licensed yet can actually get and take some modules and then actually take the licensing for New York State through our market center. So if you do have anybody interested in taking the jump like you guys just did, definitely reach out to me and I can get them in through that process. But in terms of across the top, we have templates, images, my designs, and assets. I'm going to take a second just to click on assets, because you were talking about how important it is to kind of have a nice looking list and everything kind of branded aesthetically towards you. You can do a specific color palette, whether you have a brand that kind of goes along with a bunch of specific colors. You can pick out those colors so that they're always options when you're designing your marketing. What you can do is have set images. So for me, it's my headshot. I'm including my headshot in a lot of my marketing materials. If you have a specific logo or the market center's logo, we should have gotten that through a drive, right, Haley? They should have access to that through a drive. You can download them and include them, or if you have your own personal logos, like this is my personal logo. Eventually I'll have to set up Lee's logo, a team I just joined. We have our own marketing materials. So this is back when I was doing everything myself. And then
everyone should have, just a comment, everyone should have like that general logo that you see there already uploaded in designs. If you need any additional ones, you can reach out to your ASCs.
Beautiful. Thank you, Haley. Yes, this is already there. I took the time to upload these because I put them on my social media and other posts.
What's the ASC?
Haley?
That's Agent Services Coordinator. So what office are you out of?
It's Dan for us for New City, Emily.
New City, yep. So it's Dan.
Agent Services Coordinator. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the many acronyms that nobody really says all the way through. We just call her Haley, ASC, Dan, ASC, and so on. Any questions about the assets? And I'll show you kind of what that does when we get into the designs a little bit further. If you do have designs or have done stuff recently, you can go to them and then you can update them, or you can modify them if you have, something that you always do for listings. You just plug in that new material. There are images. So there's a bunch of Shutterstock images. And when we get into using the templates, there are some stock images that you can absolutely use. And then obviously the templates. So does anybody have, let's say, a listing coming up or a buyer consultation that they want to kind of work on a little more specifically? So I'm not just picking something at a whim. Anybody want to see something very specific?
Let's do a listing.
Let's do a listing. So in the listing, we have coming soon, for sale, just listed, just sold. We have the listing presentation so that when you go on the appointment, you have a presentation all put together. That way you can hand them out. And that's part of what your value is. It goes through a lot of those things. So we'll do that. We'll click on the listing presentation. Now there's a few different templates. So in some free time, I really urge you guys to kind of look through these. And this is going to go along with your specific and personal branding. Some of these are going to look great for you. Some of these are going to be like, nah, I would never use that. And that's going to help you guys kind of stay consistent. So we'll go approachable. I like approachable. I have an approachable face, unfortunately. It's really good for the real estate world, but back when movies were in, and I was actually going to see movies in person, I was always the person that they approached to like, hey, can you guys like move over in a packed theater? Or anytime there's somebody needs something. It's always this face. So when you click on one of those templates, it'll take you into this. And this is where you actually go through the process of designing your listing presentation, your social media post, or anything like that. I just want to get a gauge as to, has anybody been here before?
Has anybody what?
Has anybody been in this designs before? Like you've seen this page, you've done a design yet?
Oh, no, no.
How about anybody else? Because I don't want to skip over any of like the steps that we might need. And please, if you do have any questions, stop me. I'll show you exactly what everything is. There's a lot to take in. So once you click on it, you have your assets like I was talking about. So those are some headshots or photos or anything that you've put in that you want to include. Here's your workspace, which is a lot of stock photos. And it's based on what you're looking for. So if you're looking to, if you want to use the house interior on a postcard, you can absolutely click here and drag it in and use it. There are some stock Keller Williams photos through Shutterstock, and you can search like a specific item for those. And then you can even add from your own Facebook or upload them from your own computer. So I would click here, and if I had it on my computer, and I can go through my files and kind of pick one. Okay. So this is the listing template, and I obviously want to personalize this to myself. So I might add in my own name, I might add in my own logo, but it's not just this. Every time you get a template, there might be multiple pages, and you'll see that right down here in the bottom right. You'll see 29 pages, and that's because there's a lot of information that you can include and add in and make it your own in terms of your own listing presentation. So if I was to click on pages, that pops out. Now I can look at all the different templates and information. So this listing presentation template is designed for you to custom in any way that best serves you. And obviously the specific needs of your client. So you can pick and choose these pages, you can edit them, you can delete them, you can put in your face, your name, your social media handles. You can rewrite this. So if I didn't like this page, I can completely delete it. If I wanted to change the first page and said, this is the listing presentation for, let's say I just had one. So I think it was, there you go. If I don't like the size of that, or I want it all on one, I can absolutely click away, and it'll give me some options to kind of change the size of that. So that way I can edit everything. You can even spin it if it's a logo or if it's a picture that you didn't like or wanted at an angle. So as we're going through, I'll go a little further. Oh, Emily, did you have a question?
No, this is like PowerPoint, basically.
Essentially. So they try to make it as easy as possible for you guys to edit it quickly so that you're not wasting your time developing all these things. And what I would urge you guys to do is set aside some time. I know it's part of your 30, 60, 90 to create a listing presentation. And I would urge you guys to create one through designs that you guys will have on hand so that when you do get a listing presentation, you're not scrambling, starting from scratch. You have yours that you kind of like, and you just might have to edit some details to make it specific for that client. Any questions so far?
Is this something also that when you're in the enhanced program that the concierge people would do?
Great question. I don't think they specifically do listing presentations. Haley, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's postcards, mailers, just listed, just sold, open houses.
I'm not sure. I would reach out to Aaron to see what they offer.
Yeah, and I know a lot of agents try and get used to this type of design. Some people have even hired out in terms of getting some help of somebody designing it for them, but if you look through, there's a lot of pages where you just might have to change one thing. So here might be my first page. This is the page that I'm going to print out first. It's going to be on top in the folder that I'm going to take with me to my listing presentation. So that when I hand them the folder, they open it up and this is the picture they see. Now, if you don't like this picture, you can go in, choose a different picture. So maybe I want the house exterior to show a home. And maybe I like the look of this might be better for their specific house. So all I did was click that plus and it added the image where I was already selected. So if I just want to show that again, I select, that's the whole page. Now that photo is selected and I can go ahead and just change it again to a photo that might be best. Now, if you have a photo of their house or can find one, absolutely, you can use that. Now this might be for whoever I want, so I can edit this as I'm going. And this is going to be a listing presentation for, I'm just going through somebody I just had. So a custom consultation exclusively prepared for Christine Smith. Now, I don't like how that's on the picture, so I'll click away and then I can obviously now drag this so that that looks a little bit better. Any questions? Now, this is always going to be some stock photo. It's telling me this is probably where I should put all of my information. So I don't want her picture there. I want my asset. So I'm going to add in my little headshot. And that's why it's very useful to, when we did the assets before, go back and put in your own logo and your own assets if you are going to be planning on using designs for a lot of your stuff, because it's easy to just go to my assets and boom, pop that in right there. So this is DBA name. This is where you would put your market center. So for some of us, that's the New City one. Some of us, that's Hudson Valley United. Some of us, Hudson Valley North, or even now we have a Hudson Valley Upstate. So if I click on that, logos automatically pops up because it knows that's a logo, and I'm going to replace it with my market center's logo. Oh, it didn't do it for me. Let's get rid of that, delete. Can we do this and select it correctly? So it's selected. I should be able to hit plus and that logo pop in. Do I have to hit replace logo?
Yeah, as I was gonna say, try hitting replace.
All right. Replace logo. Oh, look at that. It worked out very nicely. Now, I don't want first name, last name. I might go ahead and put in all my name and I can change out. Now, this is giving you ideas. Your website, boom, put in your website. Email, phone number. You can do your company website. You can do any type of app. So if you've seen or looked at your app and what that URL is, you might be able to click on that. And this is just one of the many pages of a listing presentation. So I'm not going to go ahead and edit the whole thing, but if you click through the next couple pages, it'll have a table of contents. So your property, your timeline for your transaction, your custom marketing plan, and then representing your home, what my duties are as an agent, how I'm going to follow those. So this just gives you a nice little template of where you're going to fill in their information. So I might change their bedrooms. They might have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a lot less square feet. I can put in their address. I can even put in some facts about their market, about their neighborhood, about their town, and that you can go as specific as you want. And please stop me if I'm going too fast, too slow, questions. What we got in the chat? I just want to make sure I didn't skip over anything crazy. Listing, yes, all right. So I'm on the right spot. And there's different types of pages. This is a market snapshot, and there's ways to get this snapshot. I believe if we go into the KWLS, and we go over to, there's listings. So you can look up a specific listing and bring in that information. And that's going to be important in the future when you're doing your open house. You can pull in the photos from the MLS that you've already uploaded. You can pull in for just listed, and you can pull in, even if you're doing it for another person, you can look up their listing, as long as you get permission, of course. So I would ask another agent, hey, can I host an open house for you? They say yes. All right. And then you'd have that conversation about what they're going to want to do for marketing materials. What do you traditionally do? Is there any way we can work together so that I can incorporate my own information on the marketing materials? I'll do the marketing materials for you for the open house, host the open house if you give me the leads. So there's a lot of different ways you can negotiate that with some agents in the office. It's not letting me search, by the way.
I have a question.
Yes, absolutely.
From what I'm hearing, there's a very low inventory of properties. So I would think then that there's extreme competition for people to do open houses. I mean, there are very few houses to begin with, and then how do you possibly get to do an open house?
There is definitely a low inventory, and that's something that we can definitely use while we're developing our marketing material. Hey, have you thought about selling? There's no other listings in your neighborhood. I have 5 buyers that are looking in your neighborhood. Are you interested in selling? So there's the marketing side of it. But in terms of your question, the open houses, it's really what value you're bringing to them. And if another agent wants you to host or help them host or work with them, you can even follow along. Hey, I see you're hosting an open house. I'd love to tag along and learn how you do your process of doing the open house. I traveled and went through tons of open houses. I'd even ask agents, I just showed up to other companies' open houses just so I can see how all of them kind of hosted, what marketing materials they did. Did they do balloons? How many signs did they have? How'd they do their sign-in sheets? So there's a lot you can learn, not just by hosting the open house yourself, but actually going through the process of visiting them. But yeah, you can definitely, hopefully somebody would let you kind of mentor, and a mentor-mentee kind of follow along, tag along, use it as a learning experience rather than just, hey, I want to host it for you. Now, you can definitely go in the Facebook groups that we have for our market centers and say, I have some free time on Saturday from 11 to 1. Does anybody have a property that they need an open house held for?
Okay,
That way
that's
you're,
a good idea.
what's that?
I said, that's a good idea.
Yeah, especially if you have a, open Saturday or Sunday, or all the agents in our market center should be in that, or most of them should be. And within the market center, we definitely have a bunch of listings. So somebody's going to want an open house. A lot of people have their own process, but there are some solo agents that may have a bunch of buyers that they're taking out that weekend and can't hold the open house for their own listing. So you never know. And it's only good for you to try and reach out.
And if the open house is run by somebody from another agency, a competitor, how do they feel about somebody who's actually a real estate salesperson coming through from another agency? Doesn't that bother them?
Depends on how you approach it. If you're saying, hey, I'm scoping out your materials and I'm trying to steal and rip off all the things that you do as a good agent, then yeah, it's probably not going to look well. But if you say, hey, I'm previewing the home, I have some buyers that might be interested, or hey, I'm looking to get an idea of this market that I'm going to be working in. So I was just looking to get an inside look at the property and why it was priced at this range, so I can get an idea of what the price ranges are for this neighborhood. Most agents are just going to have that understanding. I've never run into a problem. I've definitely explained it in one of those 2 facets of I have somebody looking, or I'm previewing, or I'm trying to learn more about the market. Are you
Thank
comfortable? I was gonna say, are you comfortable with either of those, or do you
No,
want to
that
give me?
sounds good. So I have somebody looking, let's say 5 buyers. And the other thing was I'm trying to learn more about the market in this area. And I appreciate being able to take a look so I can see how you arrive, how you arrived at the pricing.
Yep, absolutely. And that's part of hopefully our daily routine. Take 5-10 minutes every morning. You're looking at what came out, what expired. You're following up on those expireds. That's part of your prospecting. Maybe some for sale by owners, you're following up on those, and you're looking at what closed and what's pending so that you have an idea of what's going on in the local market that you're interested in. So where are we? Great question, by the way. Great question, Emily. I love it. So does anybody need me to go any further in the listing? Do we want to go any further in depth in terms of the designs? Because I really want to focus on the designs portion, not just the listing presentation. Any questions on the designs or the buttons or what you can do? Okay, I do want to jump ahead to see if I can find that marketing sheet, just so you guys have an idea of what it looks like. So this is the transaction timeline. This is a nice little graphic of where your buyers are coming from. Obviously, we all know that a bunch are looking on the internet. They're looking at Zillow, Realtor, Trulia. They have those automatic emails set up. They might have an agent that's sending them stuff. A lot of the finding of the houses is coming from that, and that's why it's great that you can say we're part of Keller Williams. We actually have a syndication that goes out onto hundreds of websites and platforms, and it'll be broadcast out so that your house will be noticed by anybody that has a IP address and a Wi-Fi connection. I do want to find that. Here you go. So this also gives you some ideas on how you're going to structure your listing. In that presentation, there's a coming soon campaign. You might want to go through this yourself. Do I have all these things? Do I want to include all these things? A just listed campaign of how you're sending out postcards. Are you going to send out postcards? Just listed to your own database. Maybe you have an email. You can come up with a template that you're email blasting to your database about that. There's a way to do a custom landing page. There's a bunch of good YouTube videos on that that we've done in our market center, but also Scott Leroy Marketing has done as well. So it kind of gives you a nice little checklist of things that you can do as you're getting ready for your listing presentation, but also something you include right in that packet, in that folder that you're going to hand them. So they know all the things that you're doing to help them sell their house. So it's not just an appointment and I walk away. I'm doing all these things in the background to help you sell. I just do want to see what it has in terms of the marketing materials. Did it list or did I lose it? I think that was it. I think that was most of the stuff that I was working on in terms of marketing. Any questions more on designs before we get out of here? Out of designs. Beautiful. I do want to touch just on the referrals that you had mentioned. So I should be able to go back to KW and command. So I know, Emily, you were talking about referrals. If you click on here, or you know that this location with the human head is going to be your referrals. When you click on that, if you do have any referral partners across the country, they'll pop up here. If you have any referrals that you're working on, so they've sent them to you to be a buyer or be a seller, they'll send up here. So there's nothing pending, but I do have a few active that I've sent and received. If you do want to go by map, so you said, what state are they in, Emily?
Maryland.
Maryland, beautiful. So you can either use two fingers if you have a Mac, you can double click and it should start zooming in on where they are in Maryland. Now, Baltimore, Washington, or another town?
It's another town.
No worries, that's fine. We'll go to Bethesda. So
It's like, no, it's sorry, it's on the water. It's
Annapolis.
and no, let's say that's a good point. I guess it's maybe a little, is it north of Baltimore? I don't know. I'd have to Google it on a map.
Of
But
course, yes. So if you Google it on a map, you follow in, you zoom in. I just want to show you what it looks like when you zoom in.
Okay.
Eventually, when you get close enough, this is what pops up. These are all the recent transactions and closings and agents working in that area.
Okay, that's great.
So that's all the production that you've seen. So, and all their information, if I click here, I can add them as a referral. I can send them a specific piece of referral, like actual business through this. This is adding them to my network. And if I actually want to see the local market center that you were talking about, what's the closest market center? I can click on market center and it'll show me exactly where those market centers in the area are.
Ah, I see.
And that's a good way to contact and find out who might be the local expert for that listing.
Thank you. And so you said, if you go back to that screen that you showed initially in your account, you said, well, I have referrals and then I have to see what.
So when you open up, it opens up to this.
Yeah.
These are all the people I've talked to, reached out to, have joined my network because of family reunion, or I had a referral in that area, or I've just tried to be building my network in towns that I might have referrals going to. We live in New York, so Carolinas, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, people are leaving our country or our state and going down south. So those are good places to have.
Right.
Arizona, definitely. I actually got a call from him, so I have a referral working with him. And then if you go to my referrals, these are actually the pieces of business and it has all the information. So for this one, and generally speaking, it's 25% for most transactions. And then it has what their price range, where they're looking. It has
25% of what, the commission or?
Of the commission, correct.
Okay.
So for you, you're sending it, you know the seller in the other state. So just by you contacting and connecting them to the agent in Maryland,
yeah,
you request that 25%. They'll do all the work in terms of the listing, the selling, getting it through contract, getting it through the appraisal, getting it to the closing table, closing. When it closes, whatever that amount is that they've agreed upon that check, they send you 25%.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that you have a listing to refer out is a great piece of business. All right, so Haley, if I can stop, do I have to click stop sharing or can you just take over?
No, you have to
Can I
click
just
stop
ask
sharing.
one question?
Oh yeah, sure.
With the listing presentation that you had, is it a little bit odd to be using photos of other houses or the interiors of other houses when you're, giving them information about their own property?
Yes and no. If you just have a stock photo, and it's obvious that it's a stock photo that you're going to be using, it's not that weird. If it's a house that's being sold recently, you can find usually some old photos of it. Sometimes people use the map, overview or satellite view of map. That way it's not personalized, it's just their house and they know it's been personalized to them. So it's a location on the actual street. You can do Google Street View. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of personalize it so it's not too awkward.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And good point. I do want to go back to designs just quickly, because when you are in designs, I didn't really talk about how to save it and how to access it and where you're going to find it. So let's say use, I'll go back to the same thing. Now it does take a little bit to load up, so it's always going to take a little bit slow to load. This is the design. I can name it. So you can share it right from here, but most people are going to download some type of copy. So you can download a PDF, get rid of that. It automatically does save. So that's what you saw, that little pop-up. It will auto save as you're working. And you can save it as a JPEG, a PNG, or a PDF, or a PDF for like multi-page document, high quality, something you're gonna be handing out to a client. And then when you click done, it should just go back to your designs page. And it'll pop up right here, right on that home page of your designs. So you can go right back to working on it if it was work in progress. And if it's something that you are going to be doing for a new listing or a new presentation, I can click these 3 buttons right here, make a copy, should pop up right next to it. And again, it does, yep, create a copy of designs. Now I have my copy, I can edit that for the new listing presentation I might be going on as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yep, so you don't have to start from scratch. I've already updated, I've already put in all my name, my email, my address. I've picked the pages I want. Now I can just copy it over and start from where I left off and put in the new address, the new amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. Any other questions in Command before we kind of go back to the normal scheduled procedure?
Do you ever, sorry, I have another question. I don't want to be hogging the time here.
It's
So,
all part of participation. So whatever you're getting out of it, anybody wants to jump in, they're more than welcome to.
okay. Well, do you ever send out, and I'm not quite sure what to call these things, but they're like neighborhood, what's going on in your neighborhood, your listings, the listings in the neighborhood, or the sold things in the neighborhood?
Yes, and my favorite, I'm pretty sure you talked about it on Monday, is the neighborhood monthly nurture. And that's a good piece because it's once a month. So there's, if you've talked about how many times you should be touching your database, 33 or 36 times, there's 12 touches right there just from sending them a monthly neighborhood nurture. And there's definitely some smart plans based on that. So if you were to go over here, this is your smart plans. And you can put a contact and add a contact onto that monthly neighborhood nurture, and it'll show up where their actual neighborhood is, what's happening in that neighborhood, what's happening in that market. Your ASC should be able to kind of walk you through that process. And there's a bunch of YouTube videos you can kind of pause, rewind, and go through and kind of learn that process. If we have, let's say, hey, you have any of those on deck, or can we send those out at some point?
The videos?
Yeah, just the monthly neighborhood nurture.
Oh, yeah, I can send them out.
Thank you. Beautiful. How do I stop sharing?
Should be a button on the bottom that says stop share.
Should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in the full screen view.
Oh, good point.
See, got some experts here. Where's my full screen?
Hold on, maybe I can do it.
Oh, right there, the red part. Okay,
I got it.
got it. So we're coming up on the hour and a half. I know there are some more pages, slides. We can take some more time to talk about those, but I did want to give some time for any other questions, concerns, stuff that you're thinking about before I kind of talk about just one more thing.
The cheapest stuff, the cheapest, simplest least time consuming things to do as a new agent?
Cheapest stuff and least time consuming.
Yes,
So
doesn't exist.
so those are kind of alternate levers, especially when you're talking specifically about prospecting, which is heavy time consuming and little cost, whereas marketing is usually heavier cost slash less time consuming. If you have a little bit of a budget, Facebook leads and Facebook, because we have command, our cost per lead and cost per click, we have an exclusive agreement with Facebook. We're actually the only real estate company to do that. We can do a lot of ads directly through command, and those leads get put in right into your database. And there's a lot of smart plans to follow up with them. And there's a lot of things you can start to automate that can save a lot of time. So I would look into Facebook ads. Smart plans is going to be the cheapest because it's free. It's through command. Facebook ads is probably a little of your lower cost effective. And then any type of service through the concierge, because they're doing a lot of the legwork for you of finding addresses, sending out the mailers themselves. You really just have to send them the information, pay what it is in terms of what you want and how many. And then what they do is they send you a proof. You say, yeah, that's the postcard I want. That's what it looks like. And then it actually gets mailed out for you. So in terms of free prospecting, it's going to come down to your lead generation time, making sure that's time blocked. It's going to come down to your following up with all those leads. And it's definitely going to be more time intensive. But in terms of free, smart plans is going to be where you're going to start to automate a lot of your processes, like the monthly neighborhood nurture we just talked about, and then a lot of others that you can kind of look through. I hope that answered some of the question.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any follow-up questions? All right, so I guess we'll jump right into the recap and ahas because we do have 5 minutes left. So I do want to go back to, yeah, it should just be like a, and I do want you guys to take some time and really go through that designs, look through what you like, what you don't like, change your templates, make sure it's catered for your brand and your stuff. So how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets are new? Any ahas? You can throw it in the chat. You can come off mute. Don't worry, we're done in a couple minutes. You don't have to listen to me for too much longer. How about you, Emily? Any mindset shifts? New perspectives? How about, does anybody feel differently about what they talked about, what they learned, anything meaningful? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Good, good. What did you find most helpful? And you can pick a couple.
Yeah. I guess approaching people for open houses, Facebook leads via command. That was good to know. And that I need to complete my marketing profile. I'm not even sure where that is. If that's in command?
Yes, it's going to be in command. And if you look in the top right-hand corner, there should be your little photo. If you,
Yes.
if you click on that, there should actually be a line that says marketing profile, I believe.
Okay.
And if it's not, it's probably like settings and then marketing profile. But yep, right in command, top right, should be able to click on your picture. Cassie, was helpful. I think I'm going to try more social media marketing. Yes, step up your social media. We all know that people are scrolling. We all know that people are spending way too much time on social media. How can we stay at the front of their mind as the local real estate expert? So I like it. And anybody changing their behavior, going to do anything different? I know Cassie's going to up her social media game. Anybody else? And remember, you don't have to choose 20 things. You can take one, implement it at a time, start that, make sure you are consistent with it, make sure you're doing it on a regular basis. You time block that piece of marketing or prospecting or lead generation out, implement it and build on that habit. And then maybe try another thing or add on a new type of prospecting marketing in a week or a month or however much time you have to commit to your business, making sure you're not just trying to pick 20 things, hope something sticks, really knowing and understanding that it is a commitment and the key is consistency. Any other questions? I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. It is 12:30. Any other follow-up questions before we sign off?
How long did you say you've been in the business?
I didn't. Great catch. I forgot to say that. Actually, just over a year and a half.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's been a very successful year and a half, which is why I'm trying to take on more roles, take on more leadership, and help a few more people out.
That's great. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
So you had a professional photo taken, or was that just a friend?
Actually, I did that in the hallway of my apartment, and my fiance took it. And then we did a little bit of editing at the end. But if you're not comfortable, yeah, you can absolutely get some professional headshots done. Every once in a while, we do have somebody come into the market center. Hey, do we have anybody scheduled, or do you know when the next time might be? I know it's gonna be different for
Hudson
new
Valley
cities
North,
and
I
other
don't
places.
know. Not that I know of right now, but we've done it in the past, so I'm sure we'll do it in the future.
Yeah, so you can reach out to your ASC, see if there's anything scheduled. If not, reach out to other agents to see who they used for their headshot or who they use for their listings, and does their listing photographer do headshots?
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So like I said, I'd like to be respectful of everybody's time. We're just over. Thank you for joining, and I hope this was helpful, and hope you guys the best and have a great, successful year. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Absolutely.